You got putana and then you got puta. Batshit crazy. They're all high. Bitch, like, you're not her friend. You want the smoke? Come get it. Coffee.
Can pull me from the dark.
Hello. Today I'm talking about Real Housewives of New Jersey, episode 12. Let's get into it. I'm more pleased with this episode. Yes and no. I think that Jersey really needs to pick it up. I am assuming that we're not going to get it to be like really crazy till the end where they have that like Gatsby themed party. But this week, at least it ended off in a bang. So they were finishing up the dinner from the episode before where the same fights break out. And then as they're on their way home on the bus, Melissa brings her glass of wine and she's feeling very tipsy and horny. And she makes a joke about how she's about to drunk dial her ex or something like that. And Teresa did not like that. She was like making these faces on the bus. And then on her interview, she was just like, I think Melissa was a little sauced. So yeah, Teresa didn't appreciate that, but I thought it was funny. Melissa always feels like, I feel like she always gets like that when she's a little tipsy. So they all go to sleep, and then the next morning at breakfast, people start making their way down, and Jen Fessler goes, oh, where's the Booga Wolf? So, you know, they're making fun of Jen again, and Marge says something about like her insides. She's like, have you seen my insides? They're fabulous. Like, no, bitch, I don't want to see your insides. It's disgusting. Apparently she's the least hairy of all of them there. But she's just like annoying. Like as the episodes go on, she's just getting more and more brazen and like, I mean, not really, because I guess she's always been like that, but just something about Marge this season really grinds my gears. And I don't like her shit talking in the confessionals or like in the interviews. Like I feel like if you're gonna be talking that much shit, then say it to people's faces. She's just very snarky and condescending. I mean, she is condescending to the girls' faces. I don't know. I'm not liking Marge. She's not my favorite. And then Danielle comes down. She's like, I come in peace. Like, let's just have a good morning. And, you know, because she's been having a rough time throughout this trip. And then Polly's mom comes to visit Dolores and meet the ladies. And she comes with Polly's sister and her daughter, which is his niece. And the mom comes in and she's so cute. She's this tiny little, like, hilariously funny Irish lady. And she calls Dolores a hussy. And it's endearing. They have a cute little story behind it. I guess when she first met Dolores, she was, you know, obviously staying there at Polly's house, and so when she was coming up and down the stairs, his mom is the, what did she say, the last one to go to sleep and the first one to get up, so she would see her doing like the walk of shame, and she was just like, hussy. It's a cute little story. She calls her mom. You can tell that she does really like her. Her son looks so much like her, like you could definitely see the resemblance, and it's cute. And then Dolores shows her the calendar, the husband calendar that they made, and she's cracking jokes about it. And then she's like, oh, is this your ex? Like, you know, about the picture of Frank. And then she's like, yeah, kind of like, yeah, makes sense. Like, it was just funny. And she had all the ladies laughing, and, you know, she just spoke very highly about Dolores. I'm really happy for her. I wish them all the best. Hopefully they do end up getting married. That would be so good, you know. It's just cute seeing Polly's sister also talking about him and how much they love him and worry about him because he's in another country by himself, and it just shows how close they are. And so Danielle gets kind of emotional seeing like that closeness and wishing that her and her brother still had that between them. Then they get ready to go to a farm. It was cute. It was like pretty emotional. They do these drawings about like Teresa's life, and it was kind of sad. Teresa's like, okay, can we not draw anything about bars or like my jail time, because that's just what comes to mind. And everyone's like, no, God, no, like it's only good memories. And so Melissa gets up and she's crying, and she like draws a picture of their family and when they came from Italy and how they were just so close and just like all of these things. And they have like this like warm hug, but then like nothing ever really lasts, right? So then people go on about their different drawings, and then at the end Teresa stands up and she's like, thank you guys for this, like it was very sweet. And she's like, you know, Melissa, I was thinking about it, like that her dad would say like crazy things too. So because Melissa shared a story when Polly's mom was there at breakfast, that hussy story, she shared her story story too that when she first started staying with Joe and his family on like a vacation or whatever, his mom walked in and she's like, what's this putana doing here? Which is funny because in Spanish, it's puta, which Spanish and Italian are like super similar. So you got putana and then you got puta. So yeah, she called her that. And Teresa was saying that she was thinking that maybe that is why it was like kind of tensions were high in the beginning, or that's why tensions have always been high, because maybe Melissa misunderstood that or like just took it in the wrong way when really it was just supposed to be like a joke. And Melissa's like, Teresa, like we don't need to rehash, like this is like a nice moment, like we don't need to rehash the past or like get into it like in that way. And then she's like, no, I know, but I just thought maybe that's why, and I just really want peace. And I can't do Teresa's like high-pitched like squeaky voice, but it's very distinctive. And she was like, I was just thinking like maybe to have like one of you in our wedding, that would just make everything complete. Maybe Joey can walk down the aisle with Adriana. And she's like, just to have you, everybody there, like it would make me so happy. And then one of the girls asked like, are you asking them to be, all of them to be in your wedding? And she's like, no. She's like, but just like Joey or like someone, to have somebody there to kind of just make everything feel complete. And Melissa was just like, no, Teresa. I mean, I don't even know if she said it out loud, but it definitely in her interview. She was like, no, we're not going to be props for your day. Like, filling in last minute. Like it's just, she's like, she's asking, but she's not really asking. So no, like we don't want any part of it. And so while the ladies are in Ireland, the husbands go over to Marge and Joe's house because Frank has a pot company. And so he wants to try his products on the guys and see what they think and just have like a little get together. I love the husbands. They have a really good dynamic. I would love to hang out with them versus like hanging out with the ladies, because with the ladies it's always just like batshit crazy. So the guys go over and Joe Gorga gets there first, and then it's Bill, Aiden, and right before everyone comes over, Marge calls Joe and kind of fills him in on how it's been throughout the trip, and then lets him know that Teresa told them that Louis asked Bill to be in the wedding. And of course she's like pretty much talking shit about it. And so Joe B with his big mouth, when Bill gets there, he's like, oh yeah, I heard you're in the wedding now. And Joe Gorga gets like pissed off. Like you can tell, like he's like jealous and upset. And Bill's like, yeah, we were asked and I said yes. And then Joe Gorga's like, no offense to you, but that's bullshit. Like it's pretty much they're running out of people to ask. It's so last minute. In his interview, he says like, how embarrassing. Like I would never jump on a wedding when I'm asked last minute. He's like, who's gonna be next? The milkman? Like he's just like so upset that he's not the one that's involved, but also this is the dynamic that they both have established for their family. And it's not like Bill and Jen's fault. They ultimately have been better friends to Teresa than her own family. I think there's obviously many layers to that, and maybe Teresa, what she wants isn't what's always needed, I guess, but she feels closer to these people than she does to her own brother. Like that's the sad fact. And then later on, the guys are like outside smoking, and then like Frank blows smoke into Joe's face, and they're all high and they're trying to be serious, but no one can really have a serious conversation because even Danielle's husband and Rachel Fuda's husband have like a little exchange, not like in a bad way at all, but basically Fuda asks like, oh, why'd your wife call my wife a rat? And he's like, well, your wife and my wife were talking, and then she ends up going back and telling Marge something, and Fuda's like, well, she's just having her friends back. And so they're trying to like get serious, but then like Joe and Joe are like being stupid, so they end up just like skipping over the conversation completely. But then Bill tells Joe Gorga like, Joe, you should get high and go talk to your sister, because then your walls are down and maybe you could have like a nice heart-to-heart conversation. And then Joe's like, yeah, Bill's in the wedding now, like telling all the guys, and everybody's like, what? And so Joe just was like, it's just so sad. And Melissa told me that while they were over there, Teresa brought up my daughter Antonia, like why would she do that? And I'm raising my kids to not have any hate in their heart. And obviously he's saying that Teresa's kids do, because they've kind of called out or like kind of come for him here and there. And it's just like it's like pointing fingers and just it's just sad. And I mean it's kind of tiring, but it's sad too. So that was like probably the best part of the episode, is just seeing all the husbands get high. Back in Ireland, in the middle of their farm day, they have like a lunch, and Danielle cries again because she's like upset seeing Teresa and Melissa go at it, and you know, it reminds her of her and her brother's relationship. And one part that like kind of annoyed me was like Rachel Fuda asked her like, do you want to like step away from the table and like go for a walk? Like trying to console her. It's like, bitch, like you're not her friend. Don't fake it. Don't like, oh, you know, right now she's crying so I feel bad for her. And then like at the end of the episode, she comes for her again. So I'm very much like, if we're not cool, we're not cool. And when we're cool, we're cool. Like I don't want the back and forth, like me guessing. If we're not in a good space, no, I don't want to walk away with you. No, I don't want to cry on your shoulder. Like, stay there. I will handle myself. And then after their lunch, they all jump in a big mud pile, which is really shit, is what I'm imagining. It's really disgusting. Like, I don't think that I would do it. And it's funny because Melissa and Teresa are literally the last ones to jump in. Like, at first they weren't going to, but everyone was giving them shit. And even Marge was like, this is why you two are sister-in-laws, because you two princesses won't jump in. And they end up like holding hands and jumping in. They're like rubbing the mud on their skin. It's like, ooh, I'm pretty sure that's shit. I wouldn't do that. But anyways, it's like it was a more of a lighthearted episode, at least like right in the middle. And then the ladies get ready for their fancy dinner and their whiskey tasting. Jen Aiden ends up getting really drunk because she drinks like all of the whiskeys when like you're supposed to sip on it and then pour out the rest, kind of like a wine tasting. But of course she drinks them all, and they bring out the food and then they start talking, and Danielle asks Margaret and Rachel Fuda, like, are we cool? Like, where do we stand? And Rachel right away, this is why I don't like her, because at lunch she wanted to be cool, she wanted to be friends, she wanted to be a nice person, but then the second that Danielle asks her something, just try and have an honest conversation, she gets on the defense right away. Danielle's looking at in both of their directions. They're sitting next to each other on the table, and then Rachel's like, who are you talking to? And Danielle's like, well, you and Marge, like, I want to know, where are we cool? And Rachel starts raising her voice. She's like, no, we're not cool. You called me a rat. And Danielle's like, I called you a rat because that's what you did. And Rachel's like, no, you're the one that was talking shit and like you can't form your own opinions. And she's like, she's yelling something at her. And then Danielle snaps and she like slams the table and she's like, first off, calm the fuck down. I love her Staten Island accent. I will be so honest, in the beginning, like the first episode, I thought she was faking it. I thought she was like putting it on for the show, but I mean, you're either an excellent actor or like liar or whatever, or like that's genuinely who she is because she's been able to carry it all the way through. And I just love when the Staten Island comes out. And then Rachel's like, I'm not the one that's slamming tables. She's like, calm down, like you relax. And so it's like, no, Rachel, you want the smoke? Come get it. She's the kind of girl that she's probably taking it in, also like kind of weary because obviously this is her first time on the show. She's a new housewife. This is all like very uncharted territory for her. And for her to take on all of these ladies, she's gonna snap. Like, it's just, I said it last week, like she's gonna pop at some point. This was the first little hint at it. And it's gonna get crazier from here. I'm almost positive. Then Marge jumps in because Danielle brings up the fact that her friend Laura has been saying all these things about what Marge knows, has found out. And so Marge asks her, like, what did she say? What did she say? And Jen Aiden starts freaking out because she's like, oh my God, please don't say what I told you. Like, she's like, don't, you know, in her interview, she's like, I'm not even gonna look at her because I don't want to remind her about what I told her. And so Danielle doesn't, but she's just saying, like, don't be mad at me, don't be mad at Teresa or Jen, be mad at your friend who is saying all these things about you. Then Jackie and Rachel are like, oh, you're gonna believe someone who's like not a credible source and blah, blah, blah. And Danielle's like, well, all I know is that with Jen Aiden, her kids found out that her husband messed around on her because of you. And she's like, you know, I'm just saying, I forgive, but I don't forget. And then Marge tells her, she's like, this is why you're going to have a problem your whole life, especially with your family, because if you're always holding a grudge, it's gonna be problems for you. And everybody's like, ooh, like, Marge, that was not nice. Like, everyone said it around the table. And Marge is like, no, like that's the truth. Like, you're always gonna have issues. You know, here you are crying about your brother and all this stuff, but then you can't move forward. So it was just wrong. I don't like the way Marge kind of throws her weight around. She thinks she's like this big bad bitch, and I don't like that. I really want people to take down Marge. I keep saying it, and I just saw Dave David from Behind the Velvet Rope, talking about it with Kim D this week, he has the same idea that I have, is that Melissa should turn on Marge. Like I said this a few episodes back, and I'm saying it again. Next season, that's what should happen. If everybody's coming back, if we're not getting rid of the Gorgas, if we're not getting rid of Marge, I hope to God they get rid of Jackie, please. But if everyone's coming back, then let's flip this shit. Just like Vanderpump, they needed something major to like inject some excitement, some newness into the show. Let's take down Marge. And Melissa is the best one to do that because she wants her paycheck. She doesn't want to lose her job. She knows that what she's doing with Teresa right now, she's walking on eggshells. So do it, bitch. Like, you know certain things that Marge knows. Just fucking do it. Just turn on Marge, take her down, get her out. I mean, let's make it happen. Like, I think that would be so good. Because I'm getting bored. It's the same stuff. Like the Rachel, Fuda, and Danielle fight. And then the, Teresa and Marge and Melissa, Jennifer, Aiden fight too. Like it's the same thing, just wrapped up in different packaging every episode. So maybe for this season, you're gonna make it because they introduced the new girls and it's kind of making things exciting. But other than that, if we're doing this next season too, there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna boycott. Like I already see it on Twitter. I don't want to watch Jersey anymore. I'm bored. I'm over it. Like next. So production needs to figure this shit out because yeah. And that's what David said too, that not only the cast, but the producers, they see it. And so they're going to try to go for Marge. So fingers crossed. That was this week's episode. A little bit better than last week. Not that much. Let's see how they can keep things hot and exciting going forward. And I'll be here next week. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you being here. If you are into Bravo shows, if you watch like Vanderpump Rules or any kind of like reality pop culture stuff, check out my channel. I would really appreciate it. I have tons of other recap videos and hot takes, and yeah, hang out with me a little bit longer if you can. Otherwise, I hope to catch you on my next video. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Can pull me from the dark.
I just watched it. I don't even remember what it started out with. Today we're talking about Real Heist. Coffee. Not welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.